following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby.
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break.
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Monday, October 26th, 2020, Season 16, Episode number 51. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We are in a great mood this morning, ready to get going, ready to talk about that Cowboys game yesterday. Was not a good outcome for the Cowboys. They lose 25-3 to the Washington football team. But we're all here together, and we're all healthy, and we get to talk football. So, hey, there's a bright side to everything, right? How's everybody doing this morning?
I was wondering what that butt was for. Yeah. I was like, please don't try to throw something positive at me right now.
No.
You're right. We're all healthy.
Look, we're
healthy and fine, so that's nice.
At this point, the positives are not about the Cowboys. For me, the positives are not about football. My Texas Longhorns are just as bad. So right now, that's not the positive. Positive in life is that we're all here. We're all alive. None of us have COVID. That's a great thing, right? So we should be happy about that. And let's talk some football, right?
Right.
Let's go. Nick, you just got off
I love it.
Right, Nick, you just got off a plane, I guess not just, but you were on a plane yesterday coming back from Washington. We're going to start with some big picture storylines, but I'd like you just to talk a little bit about what you saw from this team post-game, playing.
Yeah.
Because I think there are a lot of people that are looking at this team like, man, what was that and what is this team at this point?
Right. Well, the one thing I was happy to see was Andy Dalton able to just go, where's the bus? This way? Where are we having to eat?
And he knew his name. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, so that was good because he obviously left the field and he needed help doing that. So that was a good sign. Don't know what that means as far as this week, but I know that it wasn't as bad as it obviously could have been. It was a quiet flight back. You weren't expecting a lot of music or dancing or any of that stuff. I haven't really heard that at all. Of course, they've lost every road game this year, so maybe that's
Dave's not on the plane anymore, so that helps.
Why?
Just you don't have all the gambling and drinking and frivolous stuff that happens sometimes when Dave's on the plane.
They always
go ahead.
Call him back there.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was a bad. I mean, it was just a bad vibe because it was a bad game, and it was the worst game that I could ever. I just don't know. I don't remember one like this where it was just so bad.
Green Bay.
I don't know.
No, that wasn't.
Maybe
it felt like it to me a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, that was kind of that way. But Green Bay was good. That's the thing. Green Bay, did they win Super Bowl that year?
Yeah. Wait, was that the year they won
Super
Bowl?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that was a good team. That was a good quarterback who deserves to be a starting quarterback.
Good point.
So this was a really, 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 really bad game.
All right, let's get some big picture storyline takes from Amber and Dave. Amber, I want to start with you. I watched the game with you yesterday and with Dave. And I could just see the wheels turning in your mind. I knew you had something for me. So bring it. Let's go. What you got, Amber?
Bring it. Well, first of all, I'm wearing black because I'm mourning today. And the season, I am so over it. But we got to keep going. No, the big picture is at this point, I look at it. Who do we need to say bye to? Who are we saying bye to this week? Is it a player? Is it a coach? And there needs to be a major change, or it's kind of hard to make major changes right now, but there needs to be some type of change, some type of repercussion. If you could lower someone's salary based on their game performance, I wish you could do that, but you can't. This is just terrible. It is absolutely terrible, and the worst part of it is that after that game, there's absolutely nothing that makes me feel a little sign of hope, there's nothing whatsoever. The only thing is maybe the kicker. We haven't talked about Greg Sterling really missing a field goal or an extra point, except for that one long one a few weeks ago. But other than that, there's nothing that seems very positive at this point.
Dave, big picture.
The big picture for this team is that they are fundamentally broken. There is something wrong in that building right now. I don't know what it is. I wish we had better access. I wish there wasn't a pandemic so maybe we could get a better grasp. But you cannot look at that result yesterday and tell me that this is a cohesive team, that this is a bought-in team, that this is a team that cares about each other drastically, for lack of a better way to put it. They got run out of the building by arguably the worst team in the league. Like, they didn't lose. This wasn't like a scrappy, ugly game like I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be this terrible, scrappy, 17-16 game. It wasn't that at all. They got run out of the building by arguably the worst team in the league. They do not look like they care. And like I said, I don't know if the players hate the coaches. I don't know if the players hate each other, but there's something wrong. You cannot convince me otherwise. I pulled up the quote from DeMarcus Lawrence yesterday. He said, "We need more belief," which shouts out to Nick for getting it. I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Because that can't be fun.
No.
That cannot be fun being down there with those guys. He says, "We need more belief, more high spirits around this team, and really more fight. That's one of our weaknesses. We need to build a stronger backbone." I mean, is that not just the most damning quote you've heard in a long freaking time?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because I'll speak for myself. I made fun of all of the, the fight shirts and all that kind of stuff that were a part of the Garrett era. But the one thing, and it was up until last year. Last year was the first time I ever saw a Garrett-led team with the Cowboys that didn't have that level of fight in them. You remember back to the season when he took over halfway through the season. They were all but dead, but they didn't play like it. Like, they played down the stretch as good a football as you could expect from a bad team, right? And throughout his time here with the Cowboys, that's what we got accustomed to seeing with the Cowboys. Even when they were bad, you rarely left games saying, man, they didn't feel like that team was really in the game. It felt like yesterday, and it felt like for a while now, this team is just not in it. Do you guys think that maybe what's happening here is you lose so many players that you just don't have that cohesion? You don't have that real brotherhood, for lack of a better word, that sometimes you need in order to kind of go through what you have to go through as a football team to be successful. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's not their guy laying down there, and that's the sad part is it used to be I thought put on the uniform and the star and the helmet and all that stuff, and that was the team. But I mean, if Dak got hit like that, do you think anybody does anything? I don't know.
Well, we talked about just a couple weeks ago how this team acted when Dak was laying on the field. It was very different, right?
Let me also say this, though, and I wrote this in the column kind of down at the bottom. Maybe should have led with it. They did a video that said, let's win for Dak. Let's do it for Dak.
For Dak.
God, I hope not. I hope this isn't doing it for Dak.
No.
This is it? Like, this is what we're going to do it for him? He deserves more than that. The fans deserve more than that.
All right, so let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about some of the moments that mattered. And quite frankly, I think all those moments happened in the first half. I think this game was a game in the first half, and I think by halftime it was over.
Yeah, can you just start with me? Because nobody's play is going to be before mine.
Okay,
First play of the game. First play of the game, handoff to Peyton Barber. I mean, who's that? Peyton Barber gets the ball, gets a 1 yard, gets hit for 1 yard, kept going, kept fighting, he spun, he got 5 yards on that play. Should have been stopped for 1. That was the tone of the entire game. It was that. It was this, they're in the position, but they just can't make the play, and you can't give Washington better field position. I mean, better situations. You need to keep them in 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, and it was just plays like that. That's just lack of effort, tackling, what technique, whatever it was. First play of the game, that set the tone right there, and then they were able to do whatever they wanted to running the ball.
Amber, what was your moment that mattered?
Well, to me, it was like, okay, you see the Washington offense moving along, then the defense is able to stop them from getting a touchdown right there, and you're like, okay, all right. Then the next play, Cowboys get the ball. First play, okay, a little rush by, oh my God, Andy Dalton. I forgot his name for a second. For Dalton. Then the next one, the Cowboys get Huh?
I said so did he, but sorry.
Stop it.
Sorry, we're good.
So,
He's good.
anyways, they get pushed back, and then they end up Washington ends up getting a safety, and right there, it's like right at the beginning of the game, basically, you realize, man, this is gonna be one of those games just by that play. I mean, nothing else after that looked good whatsoever. They just couldn't get anything moving. The defense could not stop them at all, but it was that specific play, that safety, that just told you what kind of game that was going to be.
Dave, what was the moment that mattered for you?
I don't know what's more embarrassing, the Cowboys or my internet connection, but
All one in the same, Dave. All one in the same.
it's just that kind of year, man.
Yeah.
The moment, honest, this is gonna sound revisionist, but when Pollard had that kick return, he ran 3 plays and kicked a field goal and just looked completely flaccid doing so, I was like, this is gonna be bad. Like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry, poor choice of words, but like that it was so unimpressive, so uninspiring. They finally, an element of their team other than the offense finally moved the ball, and that was what they came up with. And you just kind of made you think, like, today's going to be rough, and it was.
Yeah, that's kind of how the rest of this thing's going to roll, I think, is there's going to be moments like that when word choice will probably be a little bit questionable. Go ahead, Dave, what were you saying?
Wait, I feel like y'all probably covered it while I was dealing with my Wi-Fi. But what I was going to say is, I think the Cowboys had a lot of these same problems last year when they were slugging their way to 8-8. But you had your Dak Prescotts and your Tyron Smiths dragging you along the way. And those guys aren't there now. And what's left is really uninspiring. And I don't think they have it from a mental standpoint. And what concerns me is, again, like I keep using 2015 as an analogy. That was a team that cared but didn't have the talent. They lost a lot of games in the fourth quarter because they didn't have a good quarterback. But, they never truly just got their doors blown off. I think this is going to get a whole lot worse if somebody fixes whatever's going wrong from an intangible standpoint. Like, this team is not together, and until that changes, I would imagine they're going to get their ass kicked like this a lot.
Yep, and I don't know that they can solve the problems that they have right now. I don't know that they can solve those problems this year. The way I look at it is, at this point, this coaching staff, this front office, they're going to have to figure out what players they want to keep and what players they want to discard. And they need to start thinking about next year, because you're not going to get better. Like right now, big part of the problem is they're just not good. Like the players that are out there are just not good. You can look at other years where you're like, okay, well, you miss your quarterback, but you still got your offensive line. You still got your running game. You still got an average defense. If you play really hard, you might be able to make yourself look average, right? Right now, their players are bad, and that's why it's looking so poorly, I think, right now. And I think it's even worse when you put on top of that the fact that I don't think the coaches are really doing them any favor. We'll go to the moment that mattered for me, and it was Washington's up 9-3. It's 10:48 left in the second quarter. Dallas has the ball, 4th and 1 at the Washington 45. 4th and 1. And they decide they're going to throw the ball downfield, incompletion. They give the ball back to Washington with great field position, mind you, for a defense that hasn't been able to stop anyone. 2 plays later, 52-yard touchdown to McLaurin. And that, to me, was the end of the ball game. Like, when they jumped up there, at that point, it was, 15-3? My thought was there's no – because they don't have the power offensively to be able to come back in those kinds of games. And there, in that particular instance – that, to me, was about coaching. That is a bad decision, knowing you have 4th and 1, you have a defense that can't stop anyone. If you don't convert this, you got one or two options. You can either punt it, or you do something that's a much higher percentage play than what you decided on. But they opted to go for a lower percentage play and put their defense in a horrible situation. To me, that's bad coaching.
Yep. And I'd like to see that play. I don't really want to watch the game at all, but that's the one play I would have liked to seen again. The third down. I thought he got that first down.
I did too. I thought he got over the line.
I was thinking maybe they should have challenged that.
Yeah.
But that just kind of shows. This is why, like in high school football, the 1A, 2A teams don't play the 6A teams because of the offensive line. They don't have the big guys to do it. This is what it felt like to me. That was the JV against the varsity. They can't move the ball. They showed that because they were like, well, okay, we can't run the ball up the middle with Zeke, so we've already drawn him off sides once, but that won't work again. Let's just try. I mean, like running that, I would have punted. Now, who knows where that ball would have gone? But I would have tried to punt. I guess at that point, if you don't think you can get a yard, then I would take 40.
Yeah,
I would with the punt.
But the one thing you could say in the scouting report, at least of this Washington team, is the one area up front where they tend to be a little more vulnerable was in stopping the run and typically running right at them. So to me, you at least have to test it out and try it, right? You have to at least test them if you're going to go for it on 4th and 1. I think that's a higher percentage play than deciding that you're just going to throw a ball downfield.
Well, they were trying to get a screen.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
And it didn't work. And it didn't work. Go ahead, Dave.
Snuffed it out.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but those guys were getting ragdolled all day.
Absolutely.
I just don't know. I don't know if charging up the gut on Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne is going to work that well.
Maybe not. I'm saying it is a higher percentage play. You could do the exact same thing as what you did the play before. And as Nick said, I thought they got the first down on the play before. Try it again. I think that is a higher percentage play than anything else you could call in your playbook against that front on a 4th and 1. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to dive a little deeper into the offense, the pass offense, the rush offense, and we also have to talk about this defense. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Ah, music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
It's funny. As we travel places, often we find the places we want to travel aren't really places at all. They're people. They're grandparents, moms, old friends, and new nephews. That's why at American Airlines, we've been using enhanced cleaning measures so you can feel confident every step until you get to them. So as always, our people can't wait to take you to yours. American Airlines. You are why we fly.
Back to the break.
If you would like to see the Dallas Cowboys play at AT&T Stadium this season, there's home matchups against the Steelers, Washington, 49ers, and Eagles. A limited number of tickets are on sale now. Get yours today at dallascowboys.com/tickets.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. And let's jump into this Cowboys pass offense. Yesterday, Andy Dalton was 9 of 19. That's a 47% completion rate. He had 75 passing yards. He had 0 touchdowns. He had 1 interception, a 36.1 quarterback rating, and was sacked 3 times. To add to that, Ben DiNucci came in, and he went 2 of 3, and had 39 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he too was sacked 3 times. We talked all last week about how good this Washington front was, but did you expect the Cowboys to get dominated as much as they were dominated yesterday, Nick?
No, I mean, and there's no excuses to anything, but the rain absolutely messed up any chance that they had to do anything because of how they are built. I mean, they can't run the ball. They're not physical enough up front to run. The only way you're going to be able to do that is to quick passes, get the ball out. Gallup didn't have a catch. CD didn't have a catch, even though he had plenty of chances. I mean, he had his worst game of his career, and the passing game needed to be there to offset that. So you can't do that, and now you have to run, and you're not strong enough to run up the middle. You know it's bad when you're not strong enough to run up the middle. You're not fast enough to run to the outside, and the ball's not going to be caught in the passing game. Well, you're going to get 3 points based off your long kickoff return, and that's it.
Amber.
I mean, I honestly didn't expect it to be this bad the way that it ended up happening, but there's such a lack of chemistry. I mean, we keep talking about Andy Dalton trying to get rid of the ball quicker, and that's going to help them offensively. But at the same time, the lack of chemistry, I mean, you can't really do that when you don't have that connection with your wide receivers, as opposed to what we're used to seeing with Dak and the receivers, that sometimes, I mean, the guy just needs to turn around and then Dak knows exactly where he's going to be, where he's going to throw the ball, and then the guy's going to catch it. As opposed to Andy Dalton, I mean, they're really lacking that. There's no flow or just connection there. There's no okay, I know exactly where you're going to run and where you're going to be, and I'm going to you. Like in this play, I'm going to throw it to you. So it's bad because when you don't have that, there's no way that you can keep asking Andy Dalton to get rid of the ball faster so that the defensive players are just not completely attacking him and throwing him on the ground.
Dave.
I mean, I picked Dallas to win this game, so I can't sit here and say I told you so too much. But yeah, I mean, I did think that the Washington front was going to really be tough for them. It's the most important thing, and it's their biggest strength against the Cowboys' biggest weakness. I had a feeling it might look kind of ugly. But the thing for me is, and I need to go back and watch it again, but I didn't get the sense that the offense looked different. Like, it didn't really look like they tried to change what they would normally do, which is a mistake. Like, you should be going into that game thinking, we're going to really have to pull some tricks out of the box and play a different style of offense than what we've been doing. Like, you can't roll out there with the same core plays from when you thought you had all your guys and expect it to work. CD... Dalton probably has another 50, 60 passing yards if CD Lamb plays a better game. I mean, that's neither here nor there. I don't know if that means they win, but certainly didn't get any help from him. And then, was Gallup even targeted?
Once.
If he was targeted, it was he was one time.
One time.
Okay.
One time. Actually, it says on the thing, it says twice, but I remember once. Because I asked you when I remember, I asked you, Dave, I was like, is that the first time he's been targeted? I don't remember him being targeted a second time. But, yeah, it says 2.
It just didn't feel like they were calling plays to offset the fact that they didn't have an offensive line, in my opinion. Like, a lot of slow developing stuff, a lot of the same stuff we've seen the first 6 weeks, which is fine when everybody's healthy, but they're not. Didn't feel like they adapted very well, and they paid for it.
Yeah, one of the challenges was, I don't know even if it was slow developing stuff as much as, over there on the right side, Terrence Steele, so many times I saw guys just run right around him. And literally, it was almost as though, how in practice they have those big dummies that look like the Weeble Wobble you had when you were a kid. You punch it and it kind of pops back up. It looked like he was just that. He's just like a stanchion that they just kind of put in a certain spot, and the guy just needs to run around it to get to the quarterback and kind of hit the arm of the thing, and then he's at the quarterback. That's what it looked like. And so I don't even know if the play calling was necessarily the problem. And by the way, they also had some plays yesterday where they had the tight end stay in to block, and they got run around too. So I don't even know, and that's a question I have for you guys.
Even that Zeke play.
Zeke gets
was
blown
trying
up,
to
right.
block and he got completely ran over.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know at this point, but I have the question for you guys, so figure it out. What could Dallas do differently? Where could they maybe help themselves a little bit, knowing that you're so completely overmatched between your offensive line and their defensive line? What else could they do at this point? Dave?
I mean, it's a great question. I'm not sure there's a great answer. And I look back on a day like today and I'm mad at myself because I'm like, you saw the indicators that this was a bad matchup and you went with the Cowboys anyway. Maybe it was almost like blind hope. I don't know, but that's tough. Nick said it, and I agree. Like, I've covered a lot of bad high school football in my life, and that's what that looked like. Like when you're overmatched like that, it's hard to even play what resembles actual football, you know? And it's I'm not convinced there was a lot more they could have done. Like I said, maybe if CD plays a better game, they move the ball a little bit better and they kick another field goal, but I don't know that there's a lot they could have done to drastically improve what we saw.
Nick.
I said this stat in the pregame. Jordan Mills was on the practice squad. They brought him up. I mean, he's got 84 career starts. The reason why I brought that up is because the combined starts for the 5 guys was 77. So all I'm saying is that
combined for the 5.
For the 5. 42 from Cam.
And I was about to say Irving's probably half of that, right?
27 for the Connor.
Yeah.
2 for Biotis, 0 for McGovern, and Steele has 6. And I just feel like why bring Jordan Mills here if he's not? I mean, he's faced some really good players in his career. Now, I know it's not been pretty. People that have said, Bears fans will tell you, man, he was not good. But he's been in the league 8 years.
They said the same thing about Colombo. I'm willing to give it a shot. Let's just see what happens, right? I mean, can it get any worse? Will be my question.
No. Other than me, than the 4 of us
fair.
play on the O-line, no.
Yeah, right. That could get worse.
It's bad. It was bad. But I mean, I wouldn't have put Andy Dalton under center so much. I tried to mention it in a meeting today. I asked the question about Looney, and it was like, oh, wow, now we're waiting on Joe Looney to come back. Well, yeah. I'd rather have Joe Looney than Biotis.
That's true.
I don't think they'll do that because they looking for the future. But Biotis doesn't have it right now. He's not ready. You get Zach Martin back, you get Looney back, you got Connor, Cam Irving. Maybe you have a better right tackle. Maybe Brandon Knight can come back at some point. I know he's on IR. They're going to have to piece this together. You can't just look at next year. You can't do that. You can't. Zach Martin, you have to come back. He comes back, and then
you know what I think I would do. I'm the guy that didn't want to do this when things were a little more normal. But when Zach and Joe are healthy, I'm putting Joe at right guard and Zach at right tackle because that gives me a chance to function at least, which is more than we've been able to say for the last couple games.
You know what?
You have a side you can at least get some level of reliability with, right?
You know what I thought you were going to say is move Connor to right tackle.
I would look at that
if
too.
they want to do that, that's fine. Yeah, I would look at that too. But they got to do something. I lean toward Zach because I've seen him do it.
Yeah.
Man, that doesn't mean Connor can't do it, though.
But I would be happy if they take Connor and put him at one tackle and they take Zach and put him at the other tackle. You can figure out what you're going to do. Maybe Looney's at guard and maybe you stick with McGovern at the other guard and you got Biotis in the middle. I just feel like right now, yesterday, you saw a turnstile at both tackle spots. Like there were times when it was like the 2 defensive ends were like, okay, I can get to the quarterback before you can, and then they get there and give each other a high five at the quarterback. Like it's just you need to at least shore up that part of it. And if you can shore up that part of it, then I think in the middle, at least there's some help because a lot of times that center can kind of go one way or the other and kind of help out with a guy. You got a little bit more flexibility of how you can help in the middle than you can on the outside. Most of the times those guys are isolated. I take what at this point I guess we all would probably agree are your 2 best offensive linemen. They have both played tackle in college. Put them out there and let's see what happens. What do you guys think?
I don't know. You look at.
I don't disagree.
Well, Who's the quarterback?
Well, it's going to have to be Andy.
Okay. How tall is he? 6'1"?
Tall enough.
6 foot? No, I know. But what I'm asking is that do you take the?
He's only 6 foot.
I don't know.
I'm
maybe
guessing
6'1".
more like 6'2", 6'3". Really?
Yeah, I don't know. He's tall enough. You're right. The reason why I'm asking is that do you take the Saints approach? You know, because Drew Brees played there forever. He's not the tallest quarterback ever. They look at it like they protect the inside. You know, center, guard, the outside tackles. They kind of rotated them, basically to give him a lane to throw the ball and to look over. And I just kind of wonder maybe they need to work on the middle, you know, and keep the outside because you can kind of help chip them a little bit. I know, but think about it. If you have 3 guys on the interior that can't do anything, then you can't run. You can't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good approach. Really.
I guess I just look at it like this. I think right now, to me, as far as performance is concerned, the guy that, and this is saying a lot, the guy that is the worst of the bunch is Terrence Steele. I think you got to get somebody different at right tackle. He's a problem for you right now, and so I think you need to take either Connor or Zach and put them over there. And then I look at the other side, and I'm like, okay, you could probably make that one a little bit better too. Maybe you're right. Maybe you go ahead and stick with Cam Irving just because he has experience, and you keep him in that spot and hope that, you know, with Zach at guard, maybe you get a little bit better. Who knows? I don't care. I don't know. But I just look right now, and I'm like, yesterday the tackles were a real problem. Most of the pass rush, in my opinion, was coming from the outside yesterday, and so that's where I feel like you kind of have to clean this up a little bit. Dave, what do you think? Amber, what do you think?
I agree.
Go ahead.
Well, pick one.
Sorry.
I agree with what you said. And I get Nick's point. I do. Like, protecting the front of the pocket is important. The Saints have a couple really badass tackles, though. So, like, that might not look as good if you didn't have Teron Armstead and Ryan Ramczyk. So, it was so bad. Yeah, like the pressure was on top of Dalton before he could do anything, and not from the interior. I mean, the game was long over, but like one of the last snaps of the game, Ryan Kerrigan basically picked Terrence Steele up and carried him to the quarterback. It's rough, and that's why I think I trust the backups on the interior to hold their own more than what we're looking at tackle. And maybe it's not a season-long thing. Like, maybe when Brandon Knight comes back, you can do that. But at least until some more guys are available, like if Zach Martin can play at this point, I would try to play him at tackle. Maybe it's desperation, but it seems like it would give you a better chance than what you're seeing right now.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. Amber, what do you think?
I think if it was up to me, I would definitely want to move Connor Williams to tackle. I mean, this is something we've been talking about for a couple of years now. He's not necessarily the best guard, and we've talked about the possibility of having him at tackle, which is a position that not only is troublesome this year, but it's going to be in the future as well. Even if your starters come back, we know they have been dealing with health issues and injuries, so you need to address the position regardless. So I would rather use this year, and right now, given the fact that the O-line is just a mess right now, so you're not really going to get a whole lot worse. So just try it, move Connor to tackle, give him some in-game experience. Let's try him out, because it's totally different giving him practice, like watching him at tackle during practice, than giving him some actual in-game experience. So I would rather go ahead and do that now. Let's get that out of the way and try to get a better feel of what that would look like or could look like. And that will give you a better idea of whether that's the route you would want to take for the future. And I'm not saying, let's go ahead and start thinking about the future and tank the season or any of that, but I do think that this is a good chance for you to at least try different things, because it's not working out. Clearly, it's not working out, so you're not going to lose much by actually giving him a try at tackle.
Yeah, that's the point, Amber. I think you hit it on the head, that whatever they're doing right now isn't working. So try some other things. If you keep doing the same thing and expect different results, that's lunacy, right? So try something different. I think maybe he becomes a guy. And Nick, I think you mentioned this a couple weeks ago too, that you're going to need a good swing tackle. You've been needing a good swing tackle for a while. if you find out this year that he can play well in relief at tackle, then maybe going into next year you look at this and you say, that's our swing tackle. And if one of those two guys that are the starters are not ready to go for whatever reason or get injured, we feel like we're in a really good position with him as a guy that become a swing tackle, and maybe that's a better fit for him than guard. All right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we do have to talk about the defense and what their day looked like yesterday. There were some guys that played a little bit more, and I'm wondering, did it make a difference? Maybe it did. Maybe it's hard to see through all the bad stuff we saw yesterday. We'll talk about that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys? Jack Black. Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Ah, music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Back to the break.
Are you coming to a Cowboy game this season? Well, have fun and make sure you know before you go. You wear a mask, you keep distance, be prepared for cashless transactions. Please be aware of all safe stadium policies prior to arriving at AT&T Stadium. Visit DallasCowboys.com/SafeStadium for details.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're talking about the Cowboys' loss yesterday, 25-3 to the Washington football team in what were dreary conditions and a drearier, if that's a word, outcome. Let's talk about the defense. Yesterday, they give up only 23 points, if you don't count the 2-point safety that the offense gave up, and only gave up 3 points in the second half. Mm-hmm. All right, that all being considered, I'm going to challenge each of the three of you.
To Washington. Make sure you point that out. To Washington.
Right, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to challenge each of the three of you. Come up with at least one thing that maybe you could glean from that game that was a positive about this defense. Nick, go first.
They had a goal line stand.
Ah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Okay.
And the guy that was there right in the middle, Dontari Poe, which, by the way,
Poe folks,
we have a really good video of Dontari Poe getting the team together and really kind of getting in their face.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd he say? I'm going to play better?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But he had that, and then there was a fumble. I guess they called it a fumble. Was it a 4th down stop, or did they actually get a fumble? Because Worley got the ball. Yeah. So it was Worley and Poe, those two right there.
I'm not sure if it was a turnover on downs or if it was actually a
goal
fumble
line
recovery.
Stand. Yeah, it turned out to be a 5-point stand because they gave up a safety. But yeah. Goal line stand. That's positive.
Okay. Amber, give me something positive.
Are you kidding me?
Just anything.
What kind of questioning is that? Why are you even asking that?
Because
where are you going to get any positive
No, here's
from?
the point. Here's the point. If you look at how this defense has played all season, and you look at the fact that yesterday they were able to at least only give up 23, and they only gave up 3 after halftime. Is there anything that's positive about that is my question. Is there anything, was there a player on defense that you're like, was better?
No.
Okay.
No. Zero positive, zero, nada. You keep talking as if this was like the Steelers, the Seattle. You're playing against Seattle. Whoa, they stopped them 23 points. No, this was against Washington. There was absolutely nothing positive. I thought the first play, like in the first series where they stopped that touchdown, I thought that was a positive. If you want to look at a positive, okay, maybe they didn't give up a touchdown in the first few seconds of the game. Good, great for them. But no, there is absolutely nothing positive. The worst part to me is that I don't know how you really try to change things around at this point. I mean, what do you actually do to make it better? And I know people keep talking about, oh, come back this week, fire Mike Nolan. Are you going to do that? I mean, there's some blame on the players. Again, this is not just a coaching thing. It's also a thing about the players and the way that they're performing. They just don't seem to care enough. And there's just a lack of chemistry, a lack of enthusiasm, a lack of desire of actually wanting to win, because I don't see any energy. Little things that you keep talking about, okay, maybe, like for example, Jalen Smith, how do you slip a tackle like that? Those things should not be happening. So no, there is absolutely no positive from the defense side of the ball. So don't ask me again. I don't want to hear any word positive along in the same sentence as the defense.
You did tee it up nicely, though, for tomorrow's show. I'm going to actually ask you the question of, do you think that if you look at the players that the Cowboys lost this last year, do you think that those guys have accounted for that much of a difference in the result that we're seeing this year? Or maybe, just maybe, could it be the loss of one man, and that being Rod Marinelli? We're going to talk about that tomorrow because I think that's a very interesting conversation. Dave, was there anything positive that you gleaned from this defense yesterday?
I know, like, you're asking this with your tongue firmly planted in your
Absolutely,
cheek, and I'm still...
We do have a lot of shows we got to get through for the rest of this season. I'm just saying.
I'm still offended, especially like, okay, they allowed 3 points after halftime. That reminds me, in high school, I used to go out and play basketball with my dad in the driveway like every night after dinner, and he would beat my ass until he had a comfortable lead, and then he would just start chunking shots at the backboard so that it would stay close and I wouldn't get discouraged. You know, like that's what that looked like to me. Is Washington was like, all right, you know, it's 25-3. Like, we've done what we need to do. Like, I don't give them any credit for not allowing a touchdown after halftime, because the touchdowns they allowed before halftime, 3 of them, by the way, which is more than Washington has scored all year, and one of them is a go ball where they just decided not to cover Terry McLaurin for the 4th week in a row, and then the other one is Logan Thomas scoring because Jalen Smith couldn't tackle him. It was atrocious. If I'm looking for positives, I thought Donovan Wilson made a really nice play to break up the 2-point conversion, I believe it was, in the back of the end zone. Leighton Vander Esch played the whole game, and he got hurt for a second, but I guess it wasn't serious, so, you know, that's nice, I guess. I am befuddled at how, like, why was Randy Gregory even up if he only got 6 snaps? And why is Bradley Anae going to be inactive if this is what you're getting from the defensive line? Like, I'm not saying tank, but like let's get some of these young guys some looks, like, because what you've been doing hasn't been working anyway. So yeah, those are my positives, which is to say, really not any.
Yeah, and you mentioned, you know, get some of these young guys opportunities. Yesterday, what we did see was Gallimore and Hamilton played more at defensive tackle than Poe or Woods or Crawford. They both played over 50% of the defensive snap, both Hamilton and Gallimore. I don't know that we saw a different result overall because they gave up, obviously, 208 rushing yards, which is a huge amount to give up to a team that hadn't rushed very well. Antonio Gibson had 128 yards on 20 carries. His previous high before that was 13 carries for 55 yards at Arizona. So I don't think the results necessarily showed anything different. But as you watch those players play, did you get a sense that maybe they were a little better than the guys that they maybe were replacing? Nick?
Not really. I'm sorry. I know where you're going with this, but I can't. I just can't. There's just nothing really to get excited about at all. I mean, Antonio Gibson's going to rush for 37 yards next week, and Kyle Allen's going to have a rating of about 68. I mean, I just think that those guys were getting tired of getting beat up on, and they got to beat up on the Cowboys. And that's the real embarrassing part of this, is that there are a few nice plays here and there. No, there were 2 plays here and there. Yeah, you know what? Leighton and Jalen had 12 tackles each. Cool. Should have been 19 each. I mean, I don't think Leighton played that well. I mean, he had a really costly penalty, too, that led to 7 points. So, I don't know. I mean, somebody told me a long time ago about a play. Yeah, he led the Cowboys in tackling, and they can't tackle. So somebody has to do it, and it's Jalen Smith and Leighton.
Well, I mean, I do think that as we go through the rest of the season, it really is, and probably will be for the Cowboys coaching staff, front office as well, it's really going to be about player evaluations. The results won't matter, because I think the results are going to be similar to what you saw yesterday. I think what they're looking at is an individual player playing well enough that we want to keep him around for next year. I think that's where you start looking at, and that's why I asked the question about Gallimore and Hamilton specifically, is because it really is going to be about player evaluation for each of those individual guys. Were there any individual performances? Now, I'm not going to say that were good, because in a 25-3 loss, nobody was good. But were there any moments that you looked at and you said, hey, I like what this guy was doing here. This is the kind of thing that they're going to need a little bit more of? Amber?
I'm sorry, but I can't think of anyone, honestly. There was so much bad that it completely blinded my sight for any slight of good that there could possibly have been in that game. There was not a single player that necessarily stood out to me for doing good. So, and I know that what we're looking at is maybe just a little bit better. Okay, did this player do a little bit better
something.
Where maybe we... A little something, but that little something just got completely washed away from everything else. So I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer to that, but honestly, there was nothing I really saw.
Dave?
I'm with her. Even I mentioned a couple positives, and I don't know if it's Donovan Wilson's fault that there was no safety help on the McLaurin play. I haven't seen it back, so I don't want to blame him for that. But my point is, Donovan Wilson makes one great play, but you still see all of the same systemic problems. That obviously what makes this so frustrating and terrible is there is no growth from week to week.
Yeah.
There is none. They do the same awful stuff every time they go out, and this time they did it against literally the worst offense in the NFL. So, cool. Maybe a handful of guys made some nice plays, but who cares right now? It is what it is.
All right, that's going to be a wrap. Tomorrow what we will do is we will talk a little bit more about some of those bigger picture areas where maybe the Cowboys can identify some issues that maybe they can tackle this year. Some of them are about tackling issues for next year. We're going to talk specifically about coaching and what's happening right now with this coaching staff, both at the head coach as well as the coordinators, and how much blame do you put on those guys for what we're seeing right now when it comes to this team each and every Sunday. We'll do that when we come back tomorrow. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.